Hi, it's Ms. Media Content, and I'm coming to you today to discuss 2017's biggest PR snafus, biggest PR scandals, biggest PR disasters, whatever you want to call them, they were bad. Okay, so what I did was I went back to see what others thought were the PR disasters of 2017. And I took a look at Forbes magazine. Forbes came out with two different articles, one in May of 2017 and one in December of 2017, naming their versions of PR disasters. Now, I have my own version, and when I'm discussing these, telling you about these, they're not in any particular order, but I will have a final number one of my own list. The first one, which was in both of the Forbes magazine articles and on my list, was United Airlines removal of a passenger. Pause. So everybody saw that video. It was bad. One thing that every company and every individual needs to know, even if you have to behave badly and you feel it's justified, remember someone is going to have a camera and record you. So all corporations in their PR meetings, or even if they don't have a PR department, someone needs to be aware that at all times, someone can be filming one of your employees at another location that's not at a headquarters. Be cognizant and make sure all of your company awareness revolves around knowing at least this one thing: you could be filmed at any time and exposed. And when whoever it was at United Airlines sent those security officers on board that plane to remove that passenger, they had to have known that a passenger was going to record the removal of the passenger. So how could they have done that better? How could they have done that much better? For one thing, and it still wouldn't say that someone wouldn't record the removal of that passenger, but perhaps the airline attendants or the flight attendants should have more power to be able to pull a person aside and move them towards the front, closing the first class curtain or door, whatever is there on whatever different planes, and talking to a passenger there in a little vestibule of the plane. You know, they shouldn't have announced to this man in front of all the other passengers, hey, we got to remove you from the plane for whatever reason. I can't remember the reason now, but you just have to be aware that someone may record your actions. Companies really need to be aware of that. Some other 2017 snafus. Now, I wasn't aware of this particular one, but the Forbes magazine mentions Adiddas' poor choice of words. So I didn't go into that much because I don't think the public really registered on that. So I'm going to move on to the Equifax breach. That was bad because, to my knowledge, they really didn't come back to say a really great apology to the American public. There were no commercials regarding that as far as I know. If I'm wrong, just correct me and let me know. Send me an email. Also, they should have given, I know you get a free report annually, a free credit report annually, but perhaps they should have come back to say, not only will you get your annual free credit report, we'll give you another one because this damage has been done. So maybe twice this year, you get a free report so that you can check your credit to see what has happened. And they needed to follow that up with possibly some extra services. I never did see where they really made any amends with the American public. They do have a commercial. Oh no, that may be Experian, but the Equifax breach is totally unacceptable. More Americans should have been much more up in arms, but sometimes, depending, I think there's been a lot going on this year, so possibly for all the things that have been going on this year, it just didn't register with the American public, to that degree, because again, like I said, there's been a lot going on. Okay, so here's another one. Dove whitewashes a black woman. Okay, so everybody is of their own skin. Let's leave it that way. No one needs to be turned into another person that they are not. I have no idea why Dove did this. Who knows what the purpose was? They had been doing so well for so many years with accepting people, women, the way that they are. They were the ones that first came out with the campaign showing all different body sizes, etc. They make some superior products. I was never a Dove lover at all until I started trying some of their more recent products. And they almost, I remember seeing a lot of Facebook posts of people saying, I am not going to use Dove products again. Stay away from making people something that they're not, especially when you're talking about what has been historically groups that have been discriminated against or disenfranchised in some type of way. Stay away from remarking or advocating towards their historical pain. It is not a good idea. It is a horrible idea, and it is not even humanitarian in any nature to do so. So stay away from those type of things and only uplift what is your customer base. Okay, so going on to Uber. Uber has been in quite some mess really this year, but the one that I had forgotten about was the Uber CEO yells at a driver. Pause. Flatline, really. Terrible, awful, horrible, but that CEO is gone. I forgot his name, but thank goodness, because that was absolutely terrible. Okay, so one that was not in the Forbes list, that at the time when it happened, it registered with me. Remember earlier in 2017, Tiger Woods, I think he was driving hazardly and the police stopped him and they did all these checks and he was acting really weird, and we found out eventually that he had an opioid problem, like millions of Americans do. Just because a celebrity, of course it's going to make the news when some type of person who's well recognized gets involved in some type of thing, a wreck or drunkenness or fights and this type of thing. It's going to be news. But we have to remember that these are people and they have problems just like all of the rest of us. And in the case, what I'm saying about Tiger Woods is I remember that story debuting on a Monday and they drew it out, they strung it out all the way to Friday. And I kept saying to myself, where's Tiger's PR people? Where are they at? And if Tiger were my client, he would have never been on the news Monday through Friday. Each and every day they had a little blurb. They were going deeper and deeper and deeper, whereas this was really a medical problem for a person. I can understand the first day and maybe even the second day, but if Tiger Woods had been my client, he would have never been on TV all week long. So that's one that was not on the Forbes list but was on my list. So ultimately, just making sure I'm looking at everything. Oh, here's some other ones that's not on the Forbes list. And I've got to say this very carefully because when I make remarks in my comments, let's just say going forward, please forget about the fact that politics and that type of thing Everybody has their own choices of who they want in politics and as their elected officials, etc. However, anybody with a reasonable mind, forgetting about what your political choice of party is, I will say, and maybe I know this more because I am a journalism major and I scrutinize and look at news and people in my field a lot more critically than others who may not be in this field. But one major PR disaster to me has been the White House Communications Department. It has been terrible, horrible. No matter if they were some unknown political party in charge, it's been terrible. So bad that Sean Spicer, the first press secretary rather, for the White House, that sometimes it's an honor when Saturday Night Live gives a parody of you to some degree, but his was a terrible one. He was so belligerent. There was no need for him to be belligerent because he had to have kind of like a give and take relationship. Let me start again. When you're the press secretary of the White House, you have to have a give and take relationship with the press. They help you. They get your stories out that you would want to have known about your presidency, and you need them. You can't yell at them and be belligerent to them. Okay, so then moving on to Scaramucci, or Scaramucci as they were saying, it was a disaster. He had that job for 10 days. Complete total disaster. I mean, just a nightmare. Hope Hicks, who's now the communications director, a little bit initially when it came out that she was so young, it was like, what? Pause. So to say that was just a little bit of initial feelings, but I guess we can go back to say we don't need to judge people because of their age or because of their sex or because of their religion or because of their creed or their color. So we'll just leave that at that. If the presidency feels that Hope Hicks is a good communications director, then hey. Moving on to Sarah Sanders Huckabee. She's definitely better than Sean Spicer, but I don't know. She still has that antagonistic air, belligerent air that Sean Spicer had. You have to be tough as the press secretary, definitely, because then on the other hand, the press will run over you if you don't watch it. But I don't know. It just could be better. But at least I think it has slightly improved since Sean Spicer. So what would I say was the greatest, most horrible PR disaster of 2017? And it certainly was, as much as I think the White House Communications Department was a total disaster, it's the United Airlines situation. That was absolutely horrible. They actually took a man who was a paying customer and dragged him off the plane until he was bloodied. And they had video after video that played on TV day after day after day. That video will never die. You never want your company to have something happen to you like that. Good decisions in business are based on sound judgment of whoever is in charge. If you are in charge of different situations in your business, whether you're the general manager, sales manager, human resources manager, whomever, make sure that you don't make these decisions all the time by yourself, even though you may be the final authority. Round up some of your other division heads, ask questions, and see, is this the best thing for our company, or is this going to be a bad video that's going to be viewed over 1 million times over and over again for people to see our bad judgment on film or in video? So You just have to be wary and careful and very conscientious, because any situation in your company can become a public relations disaster. I hope that has helped you a little bit, to give you a little bit of insight of what was glaringly wrong in 2017 and how you wouldn't want your company to get into that position. Email me and tell me your thoughts. Deirdre at msmediacontent.com. That's DEIRDRE at msmediacontent.com. msmediacontent.com. Let me know your thoughts. You may have a whole other situation in 2017 that you think is worse than the ones that I have. I'd love to be able to hear from you about these. So just let me know. Okay, so we will have another video later on this month, and we are going to talk about reputation management. But I do also want to talk to you, and I had said I would only do 2 videos a month, but I do also want to talk to you a little bit about the Time's Up movement, the Me Too movement, and how that was almost a PR disaster. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching Ms. Media Content. Have a great day.